So I'm a big industry fan, so I'm really excited to be here. You are new to the fold this season. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about your character?
Yeah. He comes from the Pierpoint office in New York, and he so interesting. I don't want to how do you say that? Predispose. That's the term. I don't want to. Let's just say impose. I don't want to impose any ideas as to what he's actually doing there or what his attributes are. But he does come in to take a look at how things are running, and maybe he's good, or maybe he's bad, or maybe he's a little bit of both. I don't want to say too much, because I think it's my favorite part about viewing it is just coming to your own conclusions with industry, because all the characters are so not necessarily likable, or they're in such. It's written in such a way where it's not good or bad or evil. It's everyone's quite complex. But to summarize a bunch of rambling, he is an executive director from the New York branch, and he shakes things up. So that's that.
He does, keeping it very mysterious. Obviously, we don't want to have any spoilers, so I definitely understand. Can you talk a bit about his relationship with Harper, their dynamic?
Yeah. I just said predispose. I've never said that word in my life. I don't.
Really?
Yeah. Do you? Have you ever said that?
I studied English in school, so yeah, I use quite a lot of big words.
Real quick. Okay. That's something the character does that I don't do. He has a bigger vocabulary, so I'm trying to maybe make up for my lack of. So, what was the question about Harper?
Yeah, what can you get into their dynamic just a little bit, as much as you feel comfortable sharing without spoiling?
Yeah, these are tricky, these interviews, because you don't want to say
It is. I've
Uh,
seen half of the second season, so some of it is a mystery for myself, and some of it
yeah,
I'm like asking questions as if I don't know the answer.
right, sure. Um, they work together. Um, I'm terrible at this. They work together, and I don't want to give a lot away. They work together, and they have chemistry. Like, again,
Okay.
yeah, they work. They're strangers at first, and I think that there's a spark, or at least I hope. From my character, I feel like there's a spark, and then their relationship naturally evolves, and it becomes something as the season progresses.
Okay, I
Like,
think an easier question. What is it like working with Mahala? I mean, what is your guys' chemistry like
oh, that's
on the
good.
screen?
Okay, there's something I can get into.
Yeah.
Mahala is one of the smartest people I've ever met. She's incredibly intelligent, and we couldn't be more, from my perspective, opposite. She's concise. She's on point. She knows I'm very loose and kind of freewheeling. So I think hopefully that's what the creators saw, that creates an interesting dynamic. I think anytime you have two personality types with different operating bases, and yet that can either be a thing that drives people apart, or it can be something that brings two people together, and yet they are so different in the way that they see the world, and yet they can be kind of attracted to that quality. Someone who's concise can see someone who's a little bit more improvisational, and they're kind of like, how are they that way? And the other person goes, how are they that way? Uh, and then I think, at least that's what I felt working with her, was kind of, and yet we effortlessly could do scenes together, and there would be a sense of improvisational flow between us, because she's very quick-witted. I'm quite aloof, yet like loose in my my delivery, and it worked. We sang our music, even though we're playing different instruments, they kind of worked really well together. So so that was what it was like with Mahala. And again, she's, you know, she's smart and very you know, if I get in my head or something like that, she'll be like, hey, like snap out of it. And she's like, and she is that. And she's not being, it's not even a sense of control. It's just she's so perceptive to feeling, and hey, you got this, you can do this with everybody. You know, she's kind of, it's, well, I mean, she's the leader, you know, essentially. And in order to be a leader, you have to have leadership like qualities. And she has those, you know. I, I, I think I have those as well, but in a very different, very different way, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
what's your experience like, you know, coming into a show where, you know, there are already established connections, they've had, you know, time to get to know each other over season one and COVID and everything like that, and you're coming into it afterwards. What was that experience like for you?
It was exactly like what you see on the show. There's this sense of like, who is this guy, you know, kind of deal. Like, I'm coming from America. All of that um, was quite relative to it was like meta within that kind of existence. Was like, I literally am this guy who's coming from America straight off a plane, and I'm going, hey, what's up? I'm here. And people are like, well, okay. And so initially the kind of jarring aspect really worked for the show, but I was shooting for 6 months, so obviously I got to know all of them. And my care, as does my character, and then becomes more familiar, and then we're playing games in the green room, and then all of a sudden it's you know, there's just a kind of normalcy to it all. But the initial sense of like, whoa, what is this, who are you and who are you, is kind of captured on camera. And I mean, it definitely was there. And it was very, very quick. I got the job and I had to fly over in 3 days. And then we started shooting 2 weeks after that. So it was like, it was insane. It was like a whirlwind. And yeah, it's crazy to even kind of relive it in my head. So that was what it was like. It was jarring and it was surreal and it was exciting and scary. And um, yeah, art mimicked life. That's all the things the characters are seeing within me, is like, who is this guy from New York and why is he here in our London branch? And uh, you know, when I think that really helped kind of weirdly tell the story, because it was actually happening in real time.
And what do you think Danny makes of the environment at Pierpoint, London? He's coming from New York, where he, you know, does talk about it's a different ball game over there. What does he make of what he sees when he comes to London?
Oh God, it's so tricky. I don't know. When you're acting it, it's something different, right? It feels very different. It feels, when I'm playing it, I'm just trying to, I just think I'm the good guy trying to help people. And then when I watch the show, I think something completely different. My character isn't exactly how it felt. When I can say, when while playing it, I felt like I was coming into the London branch and trying to get things back on track. But then in viewing it, I kind of see something a little bit different, because I'm looking at it from a different lens of Harper and Eric. So I think I think my character is trying to do good, but then also you have to be aware of the fact that he's a stockbroker, and that world in it of itself is one of dog eat dog. And even if you try to be good, and even if you try to be an idealist, fundamentally you're going to become a product of your environment, and you're going, in order to survive, it's just part of the deal. And I think he is an idealist, and yet well, then if you wanted to be part of a good work environment, maybe you should work for Greenpeace instead of Wall Street. If that's really, so it brings up a lot of interesting questions as far as um, why is he there, and why, and what does, how much change can you really create in a system that is so much bigger than yourself? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I think he comes over there to kind of, and then again, in that vein, are you trying to make change for the community, or are you trying to make change to make yourself look good? How many times do you see people, including myself, who kind of promote this idea of, I'm doing something to help, and yet if you really look closely at their motivation, it's to get attention, or to receive validation for the good you're doing, or to get a higher job position. So I think that is an interesting thing to observe, is he's there to create change, but why, I guess, is up to interpretation of whoever's watching.
And I noticed a big theme this season seems to be earning your place versus it being given to you. Eric especially talks about that a lot, and especially where it concerns his relationship to the younger people in the company and to your character. Which side do you think Danny stands on that? I feel like we never said your character's name throughout this whole thing, but yeah, where does Danny stand on that spectrum?
Of whether he
Has
works.
earned his place or has been given it?
Well, I think there's a couple bits where it talks about, I think it's maybe in the middle of the series, he went to Yale. I don't know, that's the second episode. He talks about just Yale, and then furthermore, kind of, you get a sense of his background, so, which is one of wealth. So I think anybody who kind of is even given that opportunity to begin with is, did they really work super hard? Debatable, debatable. Anybody who goes to an Ivy League school of that nature, that certainly takes a lot of work to maintain and to graduate from. So you can't take anything away from that. And then to survive on Wall Street, you can't take anything away from that. However, there's so many things that if he was coming from a place of poverty, he wouldn't even have that opportunity to attend, like that. You know what I mean? Just to be able to afford to go to a school like that says a lot about the opportunity, him having that as an opportunity, something being given to him. I guess you have to look at it from that perspective. So I would say, yeah, because there's so many people who probably could do the job who don't even, it's not even, I remember even thinking of myself as an actor. For a very long time, I couldn't even relate to the idea of it, of being an actor, because it was like, how do I do that? How can I can't afford to go to Juilliard or something like that. It didn't even seem plausible for a very long time. And I imagine it's the same way with some people entering the stock market. It's like, well, how could I can't ever even get into that position to go to a Yale or go to Harvard or go to one of these institutions that would allow me to get there. So I think it's all relative, right? I mean, I'm rambling, but that's the truth. It's all relative whether something is given, is presuming on who are we talking about, and what's their I think everybody has to work for something for the most part, especially in a field that is giving you that much money. So yeah, I guess my response is just, it's all relative. I don't know.
That's okay. um okay, this is my last question. Well, I have an aside question that has nothing to do with this, but
Is it about my turtleneck?
no, I was gonna ask actually if you're an Aquarius.
Oh, wow. What the heck? That's such a good one. Give me
Are you?
more of these questions? No, I'm a Leo.
Are you? That's so
Yeah,
interesting. You really strike me as having Aquarius energy. Um,
the coolest question. These are great questions. Give me another one like that, like my favorite breakfast.
okay, what's your favorite breakfast food?
I just had a breakfast burrito. What's yours?
Um, uh, God, I like acai bowls. Those are really great.
That's when I want to eat healthy. I do that same thing.
They're chock full of sugar, so I didn't know how healthy they are, but
Oh, way to ruin my illusion. I thought that
okay.
was like a healthy breakfast. Yeah.
Okay, got to get back to like actually asking you a question. So
Hmm.
my actual question was, what advice would you give to your character, and then we'll wrap after that.
None at all. I think he kind of hopefully he I think he has a sense by the end of it of what that world of the life he subscribed to, and decides for himself uh, whether or not he's he's up to the task, and he understands what being a broker is, and what it sounds too generic. Not just being a broker, money and power, and what is that? What is that? What does that mean to the world? What does that mean to me? But I think like anything in life, you have to kind of experience it to then understand and to come to your own conclusions. So I would never say anything to him except just make your choices, and then see how you feel. I'd support him even though I thought maybe I don't agree with it. I'd encourage him to go live his life.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, Alex, it was really great talking to you. You're very introspective. You've got a lot of ideas about your characters, so that's great. And a Leo is actually a very typical actor's placement, so you should look into your birth chart. But it was great talking to you, and I have to wrap now, so have a great day. Woo-hoo.